Where does our strength to endure come from? That's what we're going to answer in this devotional. The scripture today is from 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13. We all experience times of testing, which is normal for every human being, but God will be faithful to you. He will screen and filter the severity, nature, and timing of every test or trial you face so that you can bear it. And each test is an opportunity to trust Him more. For along with every trial, God has provided for you a way of escape that will bring you out of it victoriously. I love the way that God works because in my personal reading today, I was actually reading 1 Corinthians 10. So when I went to sit down to work on this devotional, I thought, wow, how perfect. It just really got me thinking about temptation, about trials, about the strength to endure. And today's devotional really feels like a part 2 of the devotional that we dropped on Monday. God's faithfulness is unmatched. It's something that we will never be able to fully understand, but that's okay. I don't need to understand it. I just need to know that God is my source of endurance in the middle of a temptation or a trial. We serve an amazing God, and I just have to remember to keep my eyes on Him and to keep praising Him regardless of what my day-to-day circumstances look like. This scripture is so hopeful because Paul's reminding us that God always provides an escape for us in the midst of temptation. And I'm going to let you in on a secret of that escape. The escape from temptation is God. It's turning to God always, regardless of what that temptation looks like for your life. It's going to be different probably for every person who may come across this devotional. God ensures that there's a way for us to be victorious in the midst of our struggles. Just as we talked about in Monday's devotional, the fire, which represents the trial, represents the temptation from Monday's scripture, it is never bigger and it never outdoes God, that God is above it all. When we choose to rely on our faith, God recognizes our choice to trust Him. And in the midst of that, we are building a heavenly reward, which is getting to spend eternity with Him in heaven. But I think sometimes we fail to realize in the midst of temptation, we ask so much of why. Why is this happening to me? Or why is God doing this to me? God's not doing it to you. But instead, I think the question that we should be asking is, Lord, what do you want me to learn in the midst of this? Because there's a purpose for every trial and every temptation in all of our lives. There really is. That purpose is ultimately to grow closer to the Lord. But there could be something in the midst of that is, what is He trying to teach you? Maybe it's surrendering. Maybe the Lord wants you to learn total and complete surrender to Him and to His will. Could be other lessons, but that's just one that I think really comes to mind in the midst of temptation is fully trusting and surrendering to Him. It's not an arrival point. We've talked about this in past devotionals. It's not an arrival point of, oh, you just wake up one day, you've been through XYZ trial, and now all of a sudden your relationship is great. You know exactly how to trust. Like, it is something that we have to work on every single day of our lives, which sounds a little much, but it's a joy. It's a joy to be able to do that. In the temptation, we are meant to seek only one voice, and that's God's. In the temptation, we learn what it means to surrender and trust God wholeheartedly. Our flesh may fail, but God won't. We cannot choose to trust in ourselves. We cannot choose to rely on our own willpower to stand, but we must rely on God. Today's reflection question is, where is God asking you to trust Him more? Please don't sweep over it, because there's probably something, and it may take some time and some intentional thought and reflection to assess your life and say, where am I lacking in my trust and my faith in the Lord? Where are you tempted to carry it all on your own? I'd ask you to also consider sharing whatever that answer would be with somebody else, a friend, someone that you trust, to hold you accountable to that so that you can grow in your faith. Take some time to meditate on your answers and truly lean in and hear from Him.